In a dark part of town, a woman runs away from two would-be thugs, who corner her in a dark alley where she cannot escape. Suddenly, a boy appears behind them and tells them to run, but they only wonder what a child has to do with what is happening here. He should get lost if he knows what's good for him. The boy tells them once again to run away, if they don't want to die, that is. They both think that he is just making fun of them, or trying to act tough, but still, they need to teach him that he shouldn't mess with grown-up business. As the boy takes off the band-aid that was on his neck, a few ants start to come out of the hole he was covering, and that's when the thug's friend is ripped in half and the blood sprays all over his face. The woman, who seemed to be the one in danger and very vulnerable, is actually an insector, who knew that the boy was going to meddle with her meal, so she shows her true self to be done with it. As the thug runs away, scared beyond his wits, the boy becomes increasingly engulfed in ants, and the woman calls him by his true name, the Black Ant. The next day, the bug reapers are fast at work analyzing the murder site, which seemed more like a battlefield, as there are cuts and holes everywhere around the area, with the addition of a yet unidentified lower body of a man. According to their witness, who didn't give them that much information due to his shock, there was a boy that was around the area. The main researcher pulls out a cigarette, and the smoke he unleashes kills a nearby mosquito, showing its pesticidal attributes. The first sighting of the Insectors was in 2005, as monsters resembling normal insects started appearing in the entire world. Everywhere they go, they cause harm, whether to feed or out of enjoyment. But the most disturbing thing about these creatures is that they have seamlessly integrated into society and live among humans without a care. These are the Insectors. Most people still consider them an urban legend, but they are very real. So if they ever expect someone to be one, they should contact them ASAP. Signed, the Bug Reapers. This was a pamphlet read by the class head of a certain classroom. The teacher congratulated her for reading it so well, and he notes that most of them must already know of what happened yesterday in Namundan, but it seems that the police are certain that it's connected to an insector, so they shouldn't hang about after school ends and go straight home. The class head, Cho Ah, is asked by one of her friends, Bang Se-jin, if she didn't live in Namundan, which she confirms, so she asks her friend to go home together, as she doesn't feel safe walking alone. Two guys start discussing the bug people too, with one asking if he thinks if these things are really real. The other believes it, as they have an insect in their class too. This guy, Kami-sun, who looks like a drone. The teacher asks everyone for the assignment he gave them last time, but the whole class starts groaning, which makes the teacher say that it will be graded even if they didn't do it or not, so it will affect their overall grades. As all of the students continue to groan and be angry that they didn't do their assignment, the teacher tells Cho to gather up every assignment and bring it to him once she is done. The bell eventually rings, and after the teacher leaves, the two boys tell Cho to not submit the assignments, as besides her and some other nerds, nobody has done it, so they should also sink with the ship and give it up. It's just a grade after all. They start fighting about it, as Cho clearly doesn't want to do it only because they're irresponsible. But that's when Sun stops their argument by putting his assignment in Cho's face and telling her that this is his. She thanks him with a blush in her face, but as he sits down back in his seat, he spots an ant that walks up on his notebook and seems to resonate with him somehow. Out of nowhere, one of the bullies that were talking about the assignment earlier crushes it into his notebook, killing it instantly. He tells him to stop acting like a damn drone, as all he knows what to do is what others tell him. His face is also strangely annoying, and why does he even wear a bandage on his neck? He got a hickey or something. As Sun just looks at them, Cho asks her friend what a hickey means, which makes her immediately start blushing and tell the bullies to stop, as it's none of their business. Even with that, they decide to still take it off, revealing that he only has a big black spot on his neck. This makes one of the bullies mad, as why is he even trying to cover up something like this? To seem cool or interesting. That's when he notices that an ant comes out of that hole and crawls down his neck into his uniform, scaring him witless. He falls to the ground and swears to his friend that an ant just came out of him, making his friend think that he actually lost it. Jin asks Cho if she actually likes Sun, which makes her instantly blush and deny it. But in her head, it's only natural for her to like him. He is very athletic, studious, and eats like a bull. How can one not like a fine specimen like that? Later, Cho goes to the teacher's lounge and gives their teacher the promised homework, with only her and Sun having completed it. The teacher swears at the other students under his breath and says that she and Sun are free to go home, as everyone who did not do their homework must attend the garbage collection after school. As Cho walks back, she wonders if it's okay to say this to the others, as they might get angry if she tells them about it. But she also doesn't want to go home alone, so she gets the idea to invite Sun to come with her, as he also lives in the Naemundong area, if she remembers it right. When she walks back to class, she spots Sun putting back his band-aid in a nearby mirror, and she explains what the teacher told her, that they are free to go, so would he like to go home together with her, maybe? Sun apologizes, as he cannot do that, since he has some urgent business to attend to. Reluctantly, she lets him go, and at the incinerator, The students start to clean up, but the bullies are very mad that they have to stay behind and do something like this. Jin tells them to just clean up, as they will be done quicker. But when someone asks if they will at least get some extra grade credit for it, Cho responds with no, as she is crouching down and sweeping in quite a sad fashion. Jin asks her why she isn't just going home, but she says that she's actually waiting for her, while also explaining that Sun rejected her invitation, so she has nobody to go home with. Jin is surprised that she mustered this much courage, but isn't that guy just too harsh? He could have accepted. Cho tells him that she doesn't know a thing. He is actually very sweet and cool and a bunch of other colorful adjectives. As the others continue their work, the bullies go out behind a building for a smoke break, while still talking about Sun and the ant that crawled out of his neck. The bully who saw it promises to mess with him tomorrow, as he is not done, but it seems that he won't be able to, as an insector was waiting for them, eager for their flesh. He instantly kills the both of them, with one of the bullies' heads flying directly at a classmate's feet. She immediately starts screaming and running away, while telling everyone to do the same, as there is an insector on the loose. As the insector comes out of his hiding place, he repeats the same words. "I told you." He says them again and again while killing everyone who is not fast enough to dodge his onslaught. But even if the students try to get out of his way, he just seems too fast for them. Jin is suddenly pulled back by one of the male students who is now in full survival instinct, so it's only natural for him to do something like this. As she falls, she hits her head on a rock, with Cho immediately crouching down to her level and telling her to wake up, as they have to run away now. Unfortunately for them, the insector is already behind her, repeating the same words. Cho gets up to defend her friend, but that's when the carapace of the insector opens up, and out of it comes the teacher's head, who notes that he told her to leave after school. She is shocked by this, but the teacher is extremely mad as he told her, yet she didn't do it. Now he must silence her for good. Before his mighty attack can crush her into bits, a fast and dangerous line of ants cuts both of his arms off cleanly, saving Cho's life. When she looks to see who saved her, she sees a person wearing a black suit, almost looking like a hero from the comics. As the black suit hero stands proud, Cho falls into unconsciousness, as all of this is too much for her, but the hero grabs her before she can fall. The teacher asks him why he is killing someone of his own kind, as he knows he is the famous black ant. But does he really fight for the people? This imposing figure seems to actually be Sun. The teacher starts screaming at him, as they are at the very top of the food chain. Thanks to their endless evolution, they have surpassed all other species on this planet. There is no longer a need to protect these insignificant creatures. They are not the bugs. Sun responds with a single punch that sends the teacher flying into the nearby building. He picks up both girls and gently puts them down somewhere safe, while saying that he does not fight for these people. He fights for something else. It's just like him. He is only hunting. The teacher asks if he is so malnourished that he would actually resort to eating his own, but fine. If he wants to do it that way, then so be it, as he also has a hard time finding food, so he will consume him and leave the humans be. He charges into Sun while in a ball shape, which actually manages to hit him, and even if he tries to stop the attack, it proves to be too powerful, so he is sent flying in some trees. The teacher notes that even without his arms, he can still kill a weakling like him, as if he is an ant. He should just sit still and be crushed like one. He ascends high into the air and launches himself towards Sun, who cannot hope to dodge, so he is hit with the full brunt of the attack. The teacher does this again and again, leaving Sun's body utterly crushed under all of the force, with him unable to do anything. As the teacher prepares one final attack, the heaviest of them all, Sun tells the ant to prepare for combat, as their opponent is coming. The teacher does manage to descend on him with full force once again, but he doesn't notice the gaping hole that he has in his chest due to Sun's secret weapon. With him in place, he uses transformation to remove the ants from his legs and enhance his arms, enhancing them into something truly monstrous. The teacher tells him to let go, and Sun does just that, as he throws him with full force. He doesn't stop there, however, as he uses the momentum to grab onto him and pummel him to the ground. Before the teacher can ask where his power comes from, Sun once again raises him in the air and starts crushing him slowly with his increased strength. The teacher begs him to stop, as he has not evolved enough in his life. He didn't reach his true form. Sun has no mercy for him, however, and like a used soda can, he crushes him into bits. With his objective completed, he says that he is quite hungry, so he should go and eat. But behind him there is another insector, who apparently watched the fight go down with great anticipation. Eventually, the bug reapers appear, with tons of students taking pictures, and some reporters are also there to talk about the situation. The previous researcher, and a new one, start looking around the area, and they notice that this place also looks like a battlefield more than anything. Perhaps some insects were fighting, but why do that, since there were people here? The other researcher remembers what the thug told him about the kid appearing, and notes that it must have been for defense, be it territorial or something else. One of the bug reaper workers tells him that the schoolgirl who survived the beetle attack just woke up and said that a man donning a black hero suit saved her. As they walk to the ambulance, they hear that one of the other students who survived gets interviewed. He says that he instantly saved all of his friends who could not escape and quickly reported the scene to the bug reapers. He spits out all of these lies with a smile, and he even tries to show them the footage that he recorded of the beetle beasts. But his recordings are blacked out and most are corrupted. The employee says that if that kid really had something, the journalists would have been on it first. So shouldn't they just get them out of here so that they don't interfere any longer? The smoking researcher tells him to ignore it, as this is not an urban legend any longer, so it's only natural for the media to get into it. The scarred researcher asks if this will even be taken seriously, as unless one is a victim themselves, it is hard to believe in the existence of these things. As they arrive at Cho's location, who is talking with her mother, she puts her respiratory helper back on her mouth, as she doesn't like people who smoke at school. He puts the cigarette out and says that it's actually an insect repellent, but he will stop for her. He asks about the situation. Does she recall anything important? She explains that when that monster that was once their teacher tried to kill them, a black-suited human appeared. The scarred researcher asks why she is calling that thing a human, which she doesn't really know. He just seemed like a human, even if he looked different. She was knocked out afterwards, so she doesn't remember much else. But she knows that the guy who saved them was different. He protected them. The smoker researcher asks if there are any other students besides her that were exempt from doing the cleaning, and she says that there is only one, Sun. When he gets home, Sun's grandma invites him warmly and tells him to come and eat, as she has prepared all of his favorite dishes today. Sun looks at all of the food with a certain disgust and says that he is not hungry today. That's when the grandma notices that he is bruised up and really dirty in some places, so she asks if he's fine. He confirms it, while apologizing once again that he cannot taste her cooking, but to her it doesn't care, so long as he is healthy. She tells him to go in his room and not worry about the food, as she is sure that he needs to relax, but he still feels guilty about it, and says that he will eat it all in the morning. After he goes into his room, the grandma starts to cry, as their lively little boy has turned into a monotone person who becomes weirder by the day. As night falls, Sun's aunts start carrying pieces of something with them, directly to his room, as he has left the window open slightly. While they do that, news about what happened at the high school starts blaring, where people around the area say their piece about the Insectors. They are a blight on their peaceful lives, and it's very scary that they live among everyone without a care in the world. They should all be exterminated at once. The ants slowly go back into Sun's body as he starts feeling the food that they got for him and where they got it from. A beetle. The next day, the police start searching an abandoned building as they believe that it's tied to a series of child disappearances. The operation involved 3 people, a captain and 2 geared soldiers. They make it all the way to the 3rd floor, where they move swiftly across the stairs until they hear a bunch of strange sounds and they stop. The captain slowly moves near a wall, and when he peeks to see what is in the room, they hear the noise. His eyes widen, as there are a bunch of cocoons placed here. Outside of this building, 3 people sit in a car, one of them being the smoking researcher leader. One of them, a part of the bug leader combat unit, Tae, says that this operation is rather boring. Can't they just go there and get rid of everything quickly? The other person from the combat unit, Sam, says that they are both still under review by the government, so it's only natural that the police have priority in this investigation. That's when the captain requests immediate support at the scene over the radio. Tae asks Sam why he is shaking so damn much, as he's going to stand outside mostly anyways. But the smoking research team leader, Pio, tells them to not joke around so much and get going already. The policemen inside begin cutting up the cocoons from the ceiling, with one of them feeling that they should have waited for the bug reapers, but the captain insists they get out of here as quickly as possible, since their opponent is an insector. As they start opening up the cocoons and allowing the kids to finally breathe, the other policeman is instantly killed through the cocoon opening. As the thing that was hiding in that cocoon was the insector they feared of, who asks them to let go of his children now. The other policeman immediately starts shooting in an attempt to cover his captain, but in a second the insector goes through him. The captain is shocked, as this creature is faster than anything he has seen before, and now it will be his turn to face it. Before the insector can get to him, a single bullet breaks his sprint and almost rips his pointy needle. This amazing shot was taken by Sam, who is very far away and laments having missed the shot, as that thing is way too fast. The insector asks what they are doing, as using bullets might put his merchandise in danger. Have they no sense? He charges the captain once again, but this time he is stopped by Tae, who wonders why this scum is talking with such a high tone. The insector is surprised by his sudden presence, so it asks who he is, and as he hits it, Tae says that he is a bug reaper. As he gets thrown into the wall, Pio tells the captain to leave with the kids, as this is their business from now on. The Insector gets mad at him, as there is no way he will just let that much money leave him. But before he can dash away, Pio uses his smoke to fully incapacitate his body for a short while. Pio explains that he will come with them quietly and spit out everything about the children selling and more. The Insector removes his needle fully and says that weaklings like them should stay inside, as he wasn't looking for them. That damn black ant just isn't showing up. Before they can ask more, the Insector unleashes tons of pointy needles at the two. Pio inhales all of the smoke at once and lets it out, while Tae uses his staff skills to deflect the projectiles. With this, the Insector is allowed to escape the building, leaving the two to tell Sam to shoot. But it's too late, as he has been hit already, although he is still alive. They lament having lost the fly Insector, but now there is nothing that they can do. After the incident involving the students, the school was closed for an entire week, as memorial for the dead children continued, and Soo Young, who first reported the Insector, was awarded with the Brave Citizen Award, something which he did not deserve. Cho looks at this on her phone while her brother is playing around, but he tries to scare her, so she gives him a good few thwacks to teach him a lesson. This makes him run away, as he will go and tell their mom, which she doesn't give a crap about. She hates having to look after her younger brother only because she is not going to school, as she isn't in the mood after what happened. She hears that he's trying to scare another person, but when she looks behind, she notices that it was Sun he was trying to scare, who's enjoying some ice cream. After this, they all start eating some with him, as he has bought plenty. But Cho can only think how she revealed his identity to the Bug Reapers. Maybe it was a bad idea. She asks if something bad happened recently, or he was disturbed, but Sun says that everything is fine, which comes as a relief to her. Her brother builds a pyramid out of the ice cream sticks, but that's when he notices a ball and goes to play soccer with the other child that is there. Sun begins to bite his ice cream stick even harder as he looks at them, making Cho wonder if he didn't have enough already. Suddenly, the kids lose the ball, so they both start going after it together through a small rupture in the fence, while Cho tells her brother to get back here, but he doesn't listen. Sun says that he will go after him, which Cho tries to refuse, but he does so anyway. As he gets through the small rupture in the fence, he spots the other kid with a familiar mask, who asks him what he's doing while giving him a knowing glare. Cho's brother eventually makes it back to her, and explains that her friend told him to go back to her and wait. Sun tells the kid to sit still, but he says that he shouldn't be aggressive, as they are both hunters. However, when he was about to score his next meal, he decided to ruin it for him. He was already in a pretty bad mood because of some Bug Reaper bastards, but this just takes the cake. He will let him go since he seems like a complete newbie, but he will not be so merciful the next time, as he will beat him up if he finds him in his territory again. Sun pulls his band-aid off, and as he equips his armor, he asks what territory he's talking about. The Insector is extremely surprised, but he is glad, as he has finally found the traitor hunter, the Black Ant. He has been waiting for him, as there are rumors that he eats other bugs these days, so if that's true, he must be aiming for him next. However, he already dared to interrupt him in a hunt, so he will eat him and become a superbug. The Insector transforms into his original form and immediately strikes Sun, who just regenerates back his armor. The Insector is not done, however, as he keeps moving at lightning-fast speeds while mocking him for daring to fight someone as mighty as him. Sun just scratches his head, and with one shut up, he puts the Insector into the ground with a single punch, his patience having run out a long time ago. Eventually, Sun gets out of the wooden clearing and notes that he found the ball and took it back home to its owner. Cho's brother asks if he can eat more ice cream, as it seems to be too much for just one person. Cho finds his attitude rude, but Sun smiles and says that he can have it all, something which surprised her, as she has never seen him smile. She asks once again if they can have all of this, and he confirms it again, as he is very full now. In the wooden clearing, the Insector's body lies desecrated, as the ants eat him slowly, but surely. After their sudden vacation is done, the students go back to school like nothing ever happened, with most just chatting about what they did with the week they had, and a myriad of other things. Nobody thinking about the Insectors and how they are everywhere. When Cho gets to her class, she notices that her class, Class 3, is closed for the time being, and each student that remains was transferred to another class. She wanted to at least respect their passing and hand some flowers over, but it seems that she can't, and with this, she is not the class president any longer. When she gets to her new class, Class 1-5, she looks at her conversation with Jin, which is one-sided, as she hasn't responded to any of her messages, the reason unknown to Cho. She closes her phone, and is quite mad that she still ended up in class with that smiley bastard, who is recognized as a hero for no reason. Some students that were already in this class ask him what really happened, as they all know he didn't save any of his friends. He explains that if he hadn't been swift, he would have certainly passed away, as the teacher's punches were like boulders. Cho gnarls in his direction as he explains, but a female student near them hiccups one time and then gets up to face them. She swiftly walks up to Soo-young and kicks him right in his family jewels, shattering them completely. Soo-young asks what is wrong with her, but the student, Lee Ye-jin, says that they are way too loud and they need to be taught a lesson in order for them to shut up. The other student that was acting cool with Soo-young immediately turns into an order-receiving soldier, as he does not want to mess with the famous Ye-jin. He gets out of her way immediately, with Cho admiring what she did and how confident she is in herself. Before she can walk out of the classroom completely, however, she meets face-to-face with Sun, who just looks at her before moving beside her to get into the classroom. As he enters the classroom, Cho invites him to sit next to her and he does just that, but as he does it, she explains that Ye-jin is really cool. She actually managed to shut Soo-young up by kicking him into a world of pain. Apparently, she is also a real deal in this classroom. As she keeps yapping about the new class and so on, Sun just opens up a bag of chips and starts eating it before class starts, to appease some of his hunger. After the class finishes halfway, Sun tries his best to study, but his stomach just keeps growling, which is quite audible. So Cho invites him to join her for lunch later, as he seems quite hungry. He agrees, but as the teacher explains what will and will not be on the test, Sun suddenly feels the presence of another insector, which hits him like a truck, as all of his senses tingle. After class inevitably ends, before Cho can even ask him to get going, he sprints out of the classroom, making her think that he really is hungry. Sun immediately jumps the school fence and starts running like his life depends on it, while the two bug reapers, Tae and Pio, discuss whether or not that fly insector is still alive or captured by someone else. Pio suggests that perhaps he is dead, as it seems that there are other beings that are hunting the insector for one reason or another. As they turn the corner, Sun bumps shoulders with Pio, making Tae scream at him to respect his elders, so he should at least apologize, but Sun does not stop running. Pio tells him to let it go, as that kid is probably just hurrying along somewhere important, but Tae still feels the need to scold him. They both arrive in the teacher's office, where they pull Cho out of her class, and Pio explains that they are here to interview the student who went home when the school cleaning was happening. Cho is surprised to see the smoking bug repellent bug again, but says that the student they are looking for just bolted home just moments ago. Perhaps he was really hungry. Tae believes that it was that rude student who bumped into them earlier, but with their business done, Pio hands Cho a business card and says that she should pass this on to her friend whenever she has the chance to. With that, they decide to go visit Sam at the hospital while Cho just looks at the card, which has a few words of information and a phone number. Below a bunch of roads, deep inside of some long-forgotten tunnels, the insector that Sun had felt waits patiently, and sure enough, he arrives, ready to brawl in his full ant suit. The insector slowly descends from his waiting spot and beckons him to come forward, clearly challenging him to a fight. Sun is the first to attack, but his attack is redirected, and the insector uses his other hands to push him away. This does not stop Sun, however, as he moves in to throw another punch, making the insector start to wobble and move weirdly. This is not because of Sun's punch, though, as he notices that one of his ants is on a piece of silk that is connected to the insector. As a test, he summons a bunch of ants in a ball and throws them at the insector, which eventually reveals that this insector is actually being controlled by a bunch of silk strings that the ants managed to cut up, leaving the insector lifeless on the ground. Sun gets closer to analyze the insector, but as he picks up the strings, the insector seemingly comes back to life and with a final smile, churns out a bomb from his stomach that immediately activates and explodes before Sun can even think of moving. After the dust clears, two insectors stand before Sun, with one of them noting that he probably didn't expect something like that, right? But this must be his first time being caught, considering the countless murders he already did. The silk insector asks if he was the one that killed the fly, which Sun doesn't respond to. The bomb insector notes that with that damn fly out of the picture, they are left in a rather difficult position, as customers who are asking for young meat are now yelling at him only because he decided to play the hero. What a joke. He should know, though, that he is only killing him now because his hunting is interfering with his work, so he should feel unlucky or blame himself for this blunder. Before he can shoot another bomb, the silk insector decides to rip Sun's head off completely with a kick. But no blood spills out as she does this, as this was just a shell that Sun left behind. She is surprised when she sees this, but the bomb insector who calls her Silky says that they have been fooled. That bastard got away. Unfortunately for them, Sun did not run away and is now above Silky, allowing him to hit her straight in the head with a heavy boulder punch. He immediately moves on to the bomb insector, who despite his rather weak physical condition, moves swiftly, but not swift enough, as Sun's attacks start to go through. Out of pure desperation, the bomb insector unleashes a bomb that actually manages to hit him, but he manages to defend himself with the few ants he has on him and go on the counterattack once again. Unfortunately, his attack is blocked by Silky, who congratulates him for getting the upper hand for a bit, but he shouldn't forget that this is a 2-on-1. He has no real chance of victory. She keeps him tightly in place as she spins into the air, resulting in a deadly set of kicks that send Sun flying, but also deplete all stamina that he has left, leaving him defenseless. The bomb insector points his weapon directly at his head and prepares to destroy his entire upper half. But Sun has not given up and tells the ants that were in the suit to move, even if they are swift. The bomb insector is prepared to unleash the attack and says that his hunt is finally over. A large explosion occurs, but this happens above them on one of the roads, as the bomb insector's weapon was redirected by Tae, who notes that he has to pay the fine for damaging that road with leaves or whatever insectors pay for. The bomb insector moves out of the way, and from behind them, Pio says that they actually dared to gather openly like this and start breaking things. This is just crossing the line at this point, or is it perhaps that they think that humans are weaklings? Something like this shouldn't happen, these damn pests, they should just all die. Seeing that the situation has become like this, the bomb insector pulls out a bomb out of his weapon, which surprises both Tae and Pio. But after he throws it, it's shown that it was just a smoke bomb, allowing him and Silky to get away safely. Tae has had enough of these flying bugs, and Pio wonders if they could get some helicopter support one day. Tae thinks that it's fine, as they at least have this black ant to ask things of. But Sun is long gone, making him scream out, as the commander will have their heads for this blunder. Sun, while bleeding profusely, slowly but surely makes his way back home, leaving pools of blood everywhere he goes. When he gets back to his apartment, he starts eating all of the cooking that the grandma made for him, making her wonder what happened, as he came back home injured and with an endless hunger in him. Just what did he go through now? Sun thinks that he could not devour a single thing, so he has to fill this hunger up with something else. But even so, he is still too hungry. After he is done eating, he makes his way to his room and closes the door. But as immediately as he's behind closed doors, the pain starts and the questions of others start popping up in his mind. Why is he killing his own kind? To protect humans? That is not the reason. He remembers how the fly insector told him that he broke the rules of their world by eating his own kind, but that's not it, as those rules have no meaning for someone like him. He has to eat and eat until there is nothing left. Otherwise, he will be the one that is eaten, as the ants are doing right now, causing him to scream out in pain. In a broken-down warehouse, a familiar figure pulls 3 corpse bags around using string, eventually arriving at a cooling room where they throw the corpses in, so that they are as fresh as possible. However, one of the corpses is not a corpse, as inside, there's a living human who begs for salvation. The person throws him in with the others and slowly starts closing the door, as the man who continues to beg for his life is engulfed in complete darkness, forced to freeze with the other lifeless corpses around him. Somewhere else in the warehouse, an elderly man smashes the table, as he's extremely mad that they didn't manage to capture the black ant, as that would have surely attracted the attention of the heavenly insects. However, those damn bug reapers just decided to come out and ruin their plans. If it wasn't for them, they could have made something of themselves. He tells the familiar figure, who is actually Ye Jin, to increase the human supply, as what she is bringing in right now just isn't enough. She says that she is increasing it already, but he should keep something in mind, that she doesn't enjoy doing something like this, so he should stop saying it like she is lazy or something. The now identified bomb insector notices her uniform and walks closer to her, as the uniform she has on right now is the exact same as that guy's, the black ant. Does she perhaps know who this black ant figure really is? She smacks his hand away harshly and says that he has become quite annoying. Just how would she know that bastard? There are countless students in their school as it is. She can't just know all of them. The bomb insector says that it still doesn't matter, as the fact that he is a fellow student still stands, so she should easily find him and kill him, as he has caused enough damage as it is. She is hesitant to do this, as she is already doing very difficult work as it is. Why does she have to do this much work for that bastard? Before she can say what her goal is, the bomb insector starts choking her as he says that previously, she said that she would do anything. But now his orders have come dirty and ugly? Did she really think that she could work with the prestigious 1,000-legged work with only this amount of resolve? How pathetic. Suddenly, his dog starts barking uncontrollably at one of the human supplies that is getting away. The bomb insector looks at this out of the window and then on the cameras, noticing that the freezer door is wide open and one bag is empty, so he asks Ye Jin if she forgot to lock the door, but she says that this is not the case. Even if this does put him at a disadvantage in terms of numbers, he will overlook it, as this is a human mistake, and she has yet to fully develop as an insector. He transforms his hand real quick and says that they should continue their conversation, as he will deal with this easily. So what did she want to say? Ye Jin says that she's quitting, as this partnership is way too toxic at this point, and she isn't getting that much from it. The bomb insector clicks his finger one time, making the man outside start to glow, and his whole body starts to burn in a fiery glow as the bomb tucket in his chest activates exploding in a fiery cloud. The bomb insector says that she already knows how he deals with things that try to get out of his grasp, so he will say it again, only because he is considerate of her. She will kill the black ant. Back at school, students line up for the cafeteria after their first class, but the lunch lady doesn't want to give the incoming students any more sausages, as then the first grades will have nothing to eat then. But that's when Soo-young, who is also waiting in line for his food, notices that Sun has finished tray upon tray of food, and he is still eating, much to everyone's surprise. Even Cho's, who believes that he is eating more than usual. Just what is wrong with him, to be feasting like this? Sun continues to chug food down his throat, but this doesn't stop the ants, who are still hungry and are now munching on his flesh once again. He starts to shake and wail in pain, making Cho asks if everything is all right, as he looks rather sick. But that's when Soo-young comes next to him and says that he is rather selfish, as some people are too poor to even get a single thing from the cafeteria, but he just gets unlimited refills whenever he wants to. Is he perhaps the son of a banger or something? Cho tells him to get off him, as he paid for every meal that he has eaten. It's not like he gets these for free. Soo-young finds it amazing that he was able to pay for 10 entire lunches, but the food that he managed to gulp down is far beyond human limits. Is he perhaps an insector? This makes the once chatty cafeteria hall fall silent, until Cho starts screaming at Soo-young for being a jackass. But this also attracts Ye-jin's attention. Cho and Soo-young continue fighting about Sun, as he feels that he is certainly hiding something, since he wasn't there on the cleanup day. They fight and fight, until an ant bites deep into Sun's succulent flesh, and his whole world starts to turn upside down, as Soo-young starts screaming that he is a suspicious bastard. Suddenly, Sun grabs him by his jaw and pulls him high in the air, but he finds the humanity in him to throw him away into another student and run away, as he can't control himself any longer. Ye-jin takes note of this, while Soo-young sits defeated, with food on his head. As Sun walks up the stairs, his hunger increases more and more, and the ants, who were once docile, start coming out of him, as he has lost control over them. They come out of him and take control of his entire being, while Ye-jin, who also climbed up the school, notes that it seems that he likes to advertise that he is the black ant in front of other insectors. She apologizes, as she has no ill will towards him. She could care less that he eats other insectors, but she has her reasons. As she completes her transformation, Sun notices an insector in front of his rage-filled eyes, so he rushes in to take a bite, as that is the only thing that can appease his hunger. Ye-jin instantly summons a bunch of silk and blocks his incoming attack. Will this fight finally reveal Sun's true identity to everyone else? As Sun is passed out, he dreams of his insides, where 4 large ants are holding him in place, while another comes to take his head. He asks them, how much blood do they want? How much slaughter must he do to appease them? Has he not done enough already, as it is? The ant slowly makes its way to his head, and before eating him, it says that it's not nearly enough. That's when a red ant comes to his rescue, and much to his surprise, slaughters every single ant that stood in his way, as it is much bigger than them. He can only wonder what this is about. As he wakes up in his bed, his hunger and pain seemingly subsided. He gets out of bed, but doesn't remember a single thing about what happened on the roof. Did the ants manage to kill that girl, Ye-jin? His grandma says that he is finally awake. He should eat something to reinvigorate himself, but Sun refuses, as he is quite full. The grandma wonders why that is. Did he perhaps catch any bugs? He doesn't remember anything of the sort, so he asks how he got back home. She explains that a tall girl carried him here, the one with yellow hair. She brought him here while she was all covered in blood, but she was rather suspicious. Is she of the same species as he is? Sun says that they are just in the same class, while wondering why the ants calmed down, as if they hadn't eaten her. Just what appeased their hunger. Suddenly he feels another insector signal, this time from someone else. Someone is calling out for him. The bomb insector and Ye-jin sit in a calm and unpopulated field, with the bomb insector saying that she made his job even more difficult. She says that she tried her best, but the bomb insector says that if she did, she should have killed him and be done with it, but she didn't. She gets mad at this, as she can see the amount of injuries that she has. If he really wants him dead, then he can go ahead and fight him. That guy is no normal insector. The bomb insect's eyes turn vicious as he feels Sun's presence, who is hiding under the train bridge, only visible after the train passes. They both start to transform, as the bomb insector tells her to not be a disappointment now, but she tells him to shut up and do his job. She rushes into Sun with a kick, but he easily blocks it and creates a mighty punch that hits her right in the stomach and manages to break some of her carapace armor. She feels that he has gotten stronger, but instead of finishing her off, Sun decides to ignore her, as his target is the guy behind her. She starts screaming at him, as this fight isn't over yet, but he says that the bomb bastard will run away if they continue to fight. The bomb insector calls her a useless weakling, but even with this, Ye-jin grabs Sun's leg and tells him that even if he thinks that way, ignoring her like this is too damn ugly. If she can't catch him, then how could she ever achieve her goal of taking revenge on the celestial insects? How can she possibly do that? The bomb insector calls her a useless thing that is crawling on the floor like a true bug, but now she can be disposed of without any remorse. Yejin asks him to stop, as they had a deal, but the bomb insector says that she doesn't know a thing. Did she really think that he would help with her revenge? Who in their right mind would dare to rebel against the celestial insects? After everything was done, he was planning on giving her to them, just as she deserves. Yejin damns him for all that he's worth, as she has endured gruesome things because of him. But now, she will be put down by him like a sick dog? The bomb insector thinks that the end for worthless beings is pointless struggle, but she should be happy as she won't go out alone, if she keeps holding on to that leg, that is. Before he can fully activate the bomb inside of her, Sun moves swiftly to get out of his line of sight and attempt a sneak attack. But that's when a bomb near Yejin blows up, making the bomb insector laugh. As he has filled this whole damn field with landmines, he has no chance of getting to him, as he will only die a pointless death. Sun summons everything in him to get even more speed, more and more. He starts to turn blood red, just like the ant that rescued him in his dream. Redder and redder, until not even the bombs can catch up to him. The bomb insector tries to hit him, but he is too swift, something which even Sun recognizes, as this speed is otherworldly. With this, he is able to easily take out the bomb insector by tearing off his entire head. As he stops, he wonders where this power is coming from and why his legs have grown to this size. Yejin watches in awe as the newly transformed Sun stands victorious. The redness from himself starts disappearing eventually, so he throws the head of the bomb insector next to his corpse and tells the bugs to eat as he turns back to normal. As they do that, Yejin notices that he is approaching her, so as he stares deep into her soul, she prepares for the worst, but he lets her go. He just walks past her. This makes her mad, so she tells him to stop, as she has something to ask him. Why did he save her? Does he have a plan or something? Is he also fighting against the celestial insects? That must be it, right? If that is the case, she wants to join. Sun interrupts her and asks a question of his own. What happened on the roof of the school, when he went berserk? She is surprised that he really doesn't remember a single thing, as she thought that he would. After she started fighting him, he proved that he was stronger. Even in this demeated form, she had never seen an insector like this ever before. As the ants almost finished her off, Sun stopped them with the last of his consciousness, as he will not let these things control him like they own him. This act angered the ants, so they started to go after him. But that's when Yejin jumped into action and stopped them from striking him. But why would he even harm himself like this? Does this monstrous side of himself have a will? That's when one larger ant started to glow in his exposed heart, which made him scream out and dispel all of the ants away, before falling to the ground. She was surprised by all of this, as she had never seen anything similar in the entire time she has been an insector. But this made her think for a long while. Does she kill him, or should she sell him and make some decent cash? That's when she had a thought, that perhaps he is the hidden card that can completely annihilate the celestial insects. That is why she carried him all the way to his house. But from now on, he should think carefully about his next move. He has become the target of the celestial insects, and since this bomb bastard is dead, the supply of humans in this area will decrease. So they have little time before they start digging deeper into what happens. When that happens, can he confidently say that he will be the only target? His family, his friends, even humans, who so much as dared to brush shoulders with him will be targeted. Everything he knows and likes will be hunted down. However, she can help him. If they fight together, they might actually be able to win against them. Sun asks her, help him? He doesn't really care about those things at all. No matter who or what it is, he will devour it, not leaving a trace behind. He suddenly grabs Yejin and starts filling her mouth with ants, which makes her let out a blood-curdling scream. The next day, as school starts, the teacher in Sun's class starts taking attendance. He continues to call out people, but he eventually gets to Yejin, who does not answer, as she is not here. The teacher is quite confused by this, as she is not the type of person to just miss a day, even if she does skip classes. So he asks anyone if they have her contact in order to see what happened. Soo Young's friend says that the strange girl has no friends, which makes Soo Young laugh and say that he heard there was a strange incident at Namuncheon yesterday. His friend says that it must be her, as he has seen her over there a few times. If they report this, they will certainly become big shots. Yejin suddenly appears and tells them to stop speaking ridiculous things, but they should come to her after school ends, as she has something that she has to talk with them privately. This makes the two smiley dumbasses not smile anymore. She confirms to the teacher that she is here, and Sun thinks about only one thing as she does so, the celestial insects. At the site of their previous battle, a bunch of bug reapers are gathered, with them only finding a prosthetic leg among the battle site, which makes them think that it's probably the insector that their leader talked about, a bombardier beetle, as nothing else could have caused so many explosions. After shaking it a bit, they find something in the prosthetic leg, a small sealable package with a strange thing inside of it. Suddenly, a large man appears and looks directly in the direction of the prosthetic leg, with one of the Bug Reaper researchers trying to stop him from entering. This makes the man holding the package look at him, but another Bug Reaper comes next to the intruder and tells him to go away, as this area is too dangerous for normal people like him. Not liking the bug repellent that was put right next to his head, the man removes the Bug Reaper's hand in one fell swoop, making him scream and reveal that he is actually an Insector. The Bug Reapers that are there immediately get ready for battle, and they also try to report to their headquarters that an Insector appeared. But in an instant, the Insector punches them like they are butter, leaving only the Bug Reaper that had the sample. He screams at the top of his lungs, but he cannot hope to win against this Insector. After he is done butchering them, he calls someone and says that the sample has been secured. The man over the phone asks if there were any incidents, but he says that everything is fine, while looking at what the package contains, a certain type of bug. As class continues, Yejin uses a small amount of her power to throw something to Sun, which goes past Cho as well, who notices it. Sun catches it, and it's revealed that it's only a note, asking him to come through the back door after class. He does just that, and they meet behind the school, where Yejin says that this would be the first time they actually talked at school, which feels kind of awkward, because it's so normal. Sun asks what she wants from him, which makes her sigh, as he probably already knows, and this time he can't pretend that he doesn't remember. She thought that she was really going to die from what he did. Back when he grabbed her by her jaw and poured ants into her mouth, she passed out, but when she woke up, she started puking out something, the bomb that she had inside of her, destroyed by the ants. The simple fact that he decided to spare her and just left means that he will accept her request for cooperation. Isn't that right? Sun doesn't know what she's talking about, as she seems to be mistaken about something. He didn't save her out of the kindness of his heart. She is just emergency food, ready to be eaten whenever he runs out of targets. She feels kind of gross after he said that, as it is rather extreme, but really, he should think about things carefully. Did he just forget what she said? He is now officially the target of other Insectors. In essence, all Insectors have a single shared purpose: to drive humans out from the top of the food chain and become the true apex predators. To achieve this, they are growing in size and are adapting to anything that gets in their way. Even so, Sun really has no interest, as it doesn't seem all that important to him. Cho looks at the two of them, having a pretty active talk, and she feels kind of jealous, as she didn't expect those two to actually become friends, as she doesn't feel any connection between them. That's when she notices two boys looking at the news on their phone, where it is shown that a new Insector fighting suit has been made, and it looks very cool to them. In that facility, Tae is getting suited up in the suit, while Pio and Sam watch. Pio asks how it is, which he confirms that it isn't bad. But does he really have to wear a thing like this? Pio explains that very recently, they lost 4 members in an accident. He doesn't want the same thing to happen to his team members, so if he can increase their survival rate by at least 10%, that would be plenty. Even he might take one and wear it if it works well enough. The leading Bug Reaper Science and Technology Department leader, simply named Doctor, says that they will see if that is possible for someone of his stature. With the preparations done, they will now conduct a physical test, which Tae doesn't feel so good about, as he doesn't have a weapon. Pio tells him to use the built-in dagger that is positioned in his right arm, but he should be ready now, as they will let the Insector in. Tae still has more to say, but at this point nobody will listen to him. They order the tiger beetle they captured to transform, which makes the Insector mad, as he doesn't like being ordered around. But they tell him that he can go all out and do as he wants. This makes him smile as he transforms, as it's been a while since he tasted the thrill of a real kill. In the second he transforms, he disappears from Tae's field of vision, appearing right behind him and throws a mighty punch, but Tae manages to block it with ease, which makes him say that this suit might be worth something yet. Pio says that it increases his physical abilities by more than 80 times that of a normal everyday human. As the Insector dashes away once again, Doctor tells him to be cautious, as that thing can reach a speed of 300 kilometers per hour, or 186 miles. The Insector attacks him once again, but this time he is prepared, so he manages to cut him a bit with the blade and kick him with his superhuman force. Even though he has just been injured, the Insector smiles, as this is extremely fun for him. Unfortunately for Tae, his left arm broke because it was hit 2 times, which they note that this must be the suit's limit currently, but the doctor can't help but wonder if it can withstand even more. In an instant, the Insector jumps on him and starts choking him out on the ground, but that's when the suit unleashes a large quantity of volts into the Insector. Doctor explains that once he has received some real damage, a current of 100,000 volts will go to the Insector he is currently facing, which makes Tae wonder why he told him only now. With this, the test is completed, so they pull the Insector away from him and send him back to his cell, as captured inspectors are valuable for their organization. As he leaves, the Insector turns around and tells Tae that they should play again sometime, as this round was quite fun. This naturally weird out Tae, or angers him, or maybe both. Pio walks away from the testing area and thinks about the recent incident, where 3 combat personnel were killed in the blink of an eye. So if the Insector is awakened, will the suit really make a difference? However, there is no way that such a situation just happened out of the blue. He must go and investigate further and find if there's anything that could help them. He goes into a library and starts reading things. He reads and reads, almost emptying up an entire shelf of books. In the end, he doesn't find anything of essence from the books, just stuff that they already knew, so this is a waste of time. That's when he notices a book tucked away deep in a bookshelf, named the Ant Castle Project. Ye-jin is mad that Sun is still not listening to her after all that she explained, but he should know that her real target is a certain person, which Pio also finds in the project book, named Kijima. Sun suddenly grabs Ye-jin and tells her to repeat the name of that person. Who was it? She says that it's the leader of the celestial insects, Kijima. Sun still remembers the time when Kijima killed his mother, who even in her last moments, assured him that everything was going to be fine. After school is done, Ye-jin grabs Sun tightly and says that if he doesn't have anything to go today, they should go somewhere. Sun refuses, which makes her think that perhaps he is actually going to go hunting, as there might be some insectors near. But Sun tells her to stop talking nonsense and keep her distance. Ye-jin tells him that it's a real shame that he acts in such a way. They could have eaten some meat together in order to celebrate their reunion as normal people. Sun immediately gets mad, as he believes that she is thinking about eating humans, but Ye-jin confirms that it's not what she was talking about. She hasn't eaten a single human since she became an insector. Perhaps it's because she awakened as a silkworm, but she doesn't feel the need to eat human meat. Besides, she will buy some really nice meat for him, so they should go and eat. As he hears that, Sun is already in front of her and tells her to hurry up. They go to an all-you-can-eat buffet, where they both top their plates with good cuts of meat. But Sun is rather impatient at waiting for the meat to be done, since he could also eat it like this, and nothing bad would happen. The employee there says to his boss that he might be screwed, as they took a lot of meat. But the boss tells him to not speak that out loud in front of the customers, and that he will teach him how it really is. This is how buffets make their money in the first place. People take a lot of meat since they are hungry, but they can't eat much in the end, so they will charge a penalty for the meat that is left over, which is where they make their money. As he keeps bragging about the genius of the man who came up with this idea, the employee tells him to look at them, as all of the meat is done. They both unhinge their jaws as they slurp down the meat within seconds. As they continue eating, Ye-jin asks Sun how he knows about Kijima, which makes him think again of his mother, but he refuses to tell her. She says that it's fine if he wants to keep it to himself, as that guy just probably went after his family, like he did with hers. Her mother and father were both killed by him, and she can never ever forget the words that he said when he left her alive only. They do not kill their own kind, but they also don't need these inferior beings any longer, so she should awaken and become as powerful as she can. Sun continues eating while she explains, which makes her order another tray of meat, since they have almost run out. The owner looks at this, and tells the part-timer that he is officially cooked. After they are done bankrupting the buffet, they go and get something to drink, with their orders being quite specific. She also asks what he wants, as he is at a distance for some reason. As he tells her, he feels that an insector is near. He closely analyzes everyone, until he notices someone smooth-talking a lady into coming to his house, as it's better than a cafe since he is an artisan at making coffee. She feels that his approach is a bit forward, but he makes her laugh by saying that he will eat her up. He does manage to make her laugh, not knowing that he meant it in the literal sense, as this guy is an insector. After Ye-jin is done picking up the drinks, she notices that Sun is shaking and looking at a couple, making her wonder if he feels lonely. He explains that the guy is an insect, so he will be going after him. Later, Cho takes the bus to the hospital where her friend, Se-jin, is still hospitalized because of the incident. She goes up to her room and asks if she would like to meet face to face. But after not getting a response, Cho leaves the gift she got from her and a letter. As she walks away from her door, she notices 2 people arguing, a man who asks how he dared to shave the head of a child that was about to debut, and a doctor who says that if they did not take action right then and then, she would have been in danger. This makes Cho remember that Se-jin was very excited that she passed her audition to become an idol. That's when a gorgeous nurse walks past her, who is smiling for some reason. Se-jin sits in her bed, still thinking about what happened that day, but her door suddenly creaks open, making her scream out, thinking that it's Cho. It is not Cho, however. It's the pretty nurse, who doesn't seem to be a nurse at all. If this is how nurses looked, I'd pray for being hospitalized. She says that she must be really angry at the people that did her wrong, but she shouldn't bottle it up, like she has been doing. She pulls out the strange parasite thing that we saw previously and says that with this, she can have revenge on those annoying humans. She gives it to Se-jin, who is too puzzled to refuse. But the second it enters her system, she starts convulsing all over the place, and she also screams out, making the woman laugh, as this is exhilarating for her. The woman and the smooth talker arrive back at his place, which is a pretty big mansion with a pool inside, which the woman is pretty surprised by, as she has never seen something like this. The Insector tells her to not be so surprised, as it looks pretty embarrassing, but she should go ahead and play all she wants in the water. He kicks her into the water as he says this, but as she starts swimming, she says that the water is just too deep for her, as she is already tired from it, but she can't find him anywhere. This is because he is actually below her, smiling ear to ear at the prey that he's about to consume. Seeing that the man isn't anywhere around, she decides to get out of the water, as is pretty tired as is. That's when the man grabs her ankle and pulls her deep into the water, before taking her even deeper and knocking her out completely by throwing her at the bottom. As she floats, the man sits next to her and thinks that this is rather boring. He wanted to try something new, because he usually just orders for human meat whenever he is hungry, but whatever, as now he should go ahead and consume her before she decides to wake up. As he unhinges his jaw, he notices something very strange, a black figure that is changing shape right outside his window, which is also giving him an all-knowing look. After Sun transforms completely, he punches through the glass without any remorse. Before the Insector can even react, Sun rushes him with a deadly dropkick that sends the Insector flying into the wall. This isn't enough to stop him, however, so he rushes back in and punches Sun, something which sends Sun back a bit. As he flies through the air, Yejin uses a silk technique in order to completely engulf the Insector and catch him in a cocoon of silk. She also pulls out the harmless woman out of the water, who did not suffer any serious injuries. Yejin notes that it was a good thing they decided to follow after them, otherwise she might have been minced meat by now. The Insector is very mad with them, and asks what kind of bastards dare to disturb someone else's meal like this. They both get in front of him, and he asks if they can even handle the consequences of attacking him. Do they even know who he is? Sun doesn't care, as he will consume him nonetheless. Yejin tells him to stop, as if they capture him, he might prove to be useful to them, even if he does seem like a bastard. The Insector finally gets who he is. He is that black ant fellow who hunts his own race only. He naturally heard the rumors about him, but he seems to be more troublesome than advertised. However, he is going to devour him and his little fairy friend. As he starts to transform, Yejin tells him to not even try it, as he can't hope to get out of his restraints now. But unfortunately for her, he starts doing just that, as they have severely underestimated him. The two have seconds to move out of the way, as the Insector unleashes a myriad of scorching hot blades that even manage to hit them, but not at full speed, which reduces the damage they take. After the blades are done flying about, and the Insector has made some distance between them, he explains that they shouldn't have been so confident just because they hunted down some small fries, as they cannot hope to defeat him, a member of the heavenly insect. Their arrogance will be their undoing. This is Zigana, a pond skater insect. He beckons them forward, as he wants to see what they are capable of, so they both jump at him while unleashing their techniques. But Zigana smoothly blocks them, and uses his twin sword technique to slash both of them in a heartbeat, showing just how much power the heavenly insect group has. As Sun falls from the air because of the attack that pierces him, Zigana prepares to unleash another attack in order to finish him off, but Yejin arrives just in time to get Sun out of the way. After she lands, she wonders how he can get this much speed, but seeing that he is able to stand on water, it's probably his ability. If they go anywhere near the water, it will be a kill zone, as he is very swift there. She thinks that all of the heavenly insect members are very strong, even among other insectors, but she never thought that it would be to this extent. As she thinks, Sun just decides to go in once again, while telling her to lay some silk thread on the surface of the water. She doesn't know what is going on in his dumb head, but she does this nonetheless. Sun charges in with even faster speeds, as he wants to manifest that red power once again. He needs to, in order to win this fight. As he approaches Zigana, he cuts one of his antennas off, making Sun think that he needs to get rid of his dual swords, as these things are the main issue in this fight. They continue to trade blows, with Sun becoming progressively redder and redder as the fights go on, with his punches also becoming more deadly. However, as he tries to go for another punch since Zigana is now defenseless, his face is suddenly revealed as his face armor is cut in half. It seems that the swords that were in his back aren't just for decoration, as he put his other swords on his legs and is now pulling out the swords from his back, revealing his true fighting form. With his newfound speeds, he unleashes a powerful attack on Sun in the blink of an eye, which makes him bleed. Zigana then notices that there is thread all over his swords, something which he did not notice, but even so, she is too arrogant with her movements, as she cannot hope to injure him enough. She uses all of her power in order to cut his head off, but his armor is just too strong, so he smiles as he strikes the water below him, creating an attack that pierces through Yejin with ease. She starts screaming from the pain, and Zigana, thinking that he needs to end her existence in a flashy fashion, throws one of his swords in the air, which will definitely hit her. However, before it can do that, Sun moves swiftly and grabs the sword, allowing him to pierce the arrogant Zigana with his own blade. He tries to hit Sun with his remaining sword, but he defends himself with all that he can, while sending ants through the sword, which go and eat Zagana's inside slowly, making him scream out in pain. Before he can fully kill him, the buff Insector from before comes around and socks Sun straight in the face, sending him flying towards a wall. He notices that they actually managed to defeat this dumbass, so he throws an invitation card near Sun, as strong people are always welcome. This card is for a certain club, named Six Shot, a place only for the strong and vicious. In a dark alley where nobody dares to go into without a good reason, Se-jin approaches a fat boy, who signed up for a dating app that she is also a part of. He says that they should go ahead and start their date, maybe go somewhere to eat first, but that's when she suddenly approaches him and says that she wants a kiss, which he happily accepts, but thinks it's rather straightforward, not that he minds. Suddenly his insides start to be churned out, and his whole body becomes brittle and skinny, as Se-jin has eaten him up from the inside, using her newfound abilities. The pretty woman comes around and hugs her, asking how her first taste of human flesh is. As she licks her lips, she smiles, as it certainly was very delicious.